They say every action has a reaction. But in the world of the high table, a split second is the difference between a legacy and a headstone. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the last one, and today we are stepping into the tactical mind of the Baba Yaga himself, in John Wick Hex. Forget everything you know about mindless shooters. Here, time is your only currency, and every step is a gamble against a dozen loaded guns. We're going for a perfect, zero-damage run, proving that even when the odds are stacked, the Boogeyman is the one who chooses how the clock stops. Suit up, focus your mind, and let's show them why they should have left the dog alone.
He must be grounded, stable, constant. I believe you are ready, sir. Yeah.
They call him the Boogeyman, but in this game, you are the clock. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Your Name Alias, and today we're diving into the tactical mind of the world's greatest assassin. This is the full walkthrough for John Wick Hex. John Wick Hex is a 2019 tactical role-playing game developed by Biffle Games and originally published by Good Shepherd Entertainment. Based on the John Wick franchise, it was released on 8th October 2019 for macOS and Windows. The PlayStation 4 port of the game released on 5 May 2020. Ports to the Nintendo Switch and Xbox One were released on 4th December 2020. The game serves as a narrative prequel to the film series. John Wick Hex is a timeline strategy game with elements of resource management, where the player maneuvers the titular character through a level on a hex-based grid, using various moves and actions to defeat enemies and avoid being hit by his foes. To the player, the actions of John Wick and visible enemies are shown on a timeline, similar to those used in video editing software, with actions taking different amounts of time. The player loads commands for John Wick to follow into this timeline, and the game will pause if the player has not added further actions into the timeline. These actions may be about gaining a better position to fire from, taking a better stance that improves John Wick's chances to hit, or to take defensive actions and improved cover from foes. Hex, an international criminal mastermind, abducts Winston and Sharon of the New York Continental as an act of rebellion against the high table and stows them away at an undisclosed location. In response, a contract is put out by the high table to retrieve them, and John Wick is dispatched to ensure that fealty is sworn. The plot follows Wick in his prime, as he sets out to dismantle Hex's network of underbosses and enforcers across New York and Switzerland, on his way to end Hex's reign and reassert the high table's dominance. Players must also take into consideration the limited ammo that John Wick has, 15 bullets in his handgun, because once the player reloads their weapon, then the player loses any bullets left in the weapon's magazine. Although John Wick is able to grab weapons from enemies, this takes precious time, requiring the player to think through all the possible actions they can take before getting shot by the enemies. An interesting fact is that every time a player chooses to shoot, John Wick fires 2 rounds at his enemy, because John Wick double taps his enemies in the movies. Initially, the level is covered by a type of fog of war, which becomes unveiled as the player moves John Wick further in the level. The game has been described as a combination of tactics games, such as XCOM, mixed with fast-paced decision-making of Superhot. At the completion of a level, the game can play back a replay of the movements, without waiting for any user input, mimicking some of the fluidity of the action scenes from the John Wick films. We aren't just playing a game, we're choreographing a masterpiece. If you're ready to see how a professional handles the high table, hit that subscribe button. Let's get to work. Notice the bar at the top of the screen. This is hex time. Every move I make takes a fraction of a second. If I try to shoot an enemy who is already aiming and his bar is shorter than mine, I'm dead. Always check the enemy's timeline before committing to an action. If they are faster, use the step or duck command to reset the engagement. John isn't a superhero, he's a professional. Look at my focus meter. Takedowns and dodges drain this quickly. When you have a clear moment, use refocus. Do not wait until you're surrounded to do this. Also remember, we don't reload, we swap. If your 9mm is low, take the enemy's weapon. It's faster than dying. I'm moving toward this corner now. Use the crouch mechanic to stay out of sight and lure enemies into a funnel. Never stand in the open. In John Wick Hex, the best armor is a wall. For those following the lore, we're currently tracking down Hex. He's kidnapped Winston and Sharon, trying to prove the high table is obsolete. John, of course, is the correction, the table sent to fix the problem. The dialogue here between Hex and Winston really sets the stakes. It's a prequel, so every move we make here leads to the films we love. The game John Wick Hex originated after a casual discussion between game developer Mike Bithell and his friend Ben Andak, who works with Good Shepherd Entertainment. Both had just seen an action film, and the conversation turned to how one would make a video game to capture the action and fight scenes from the John Wick films. Bithell suggested the idea of a turn-based tactical game, what he called John Wick Chess, in which the player would have to make new decisions as the situation changes. Andak was later part of discussions between Lionsgate Entertainment and Good Shepherd Entertainment. The film production company was looking for novel concepts for video games that could be used to expand upon the John Wick film series. According to Bithell, Lionsgate wanted more than just an unoriginal game as a cash grab, but something that distanced itself from what one would have expected for a John Wick-oriented game, in the same manner that Lionsgate had seen the first film as a novel twist on a typical action movie. Andak recalled Bithell's concept, as well as his unique style of game production, and put Bithell's idea out there. This subsequently led to discussions between Bithell, Lionsgate, and Good Shepherd to give Bithell the green light to start development of Hex in mid-2018. Bithell stated that he felt responsible with the licensed property, that, if you're making a licensed game and you're not trying to push the medium forward, in my opinion you're wasting your time. In addition to reviewing the first two films, Bithell was given access to the script for John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, prior to its production. Bithell had the opportunity to discuss the film's direction with Chad Stahelski, the series director, during post-production editing, and also was able to work with the various stuntmen on the film to develop the animations to be used in the game. Bithell credited Stahelski with the fog of war concept to help create tensions with unknowns on each level. Bithell wanted to capture the idea that combat in the John Wick universe is more like a conversation with back-and-forth responses, a factor that the stunt coordinators for the films have kept in mind. One key movie scene that inspired this approach came from the first Wick film, where Wick has run out of bullets, so he takes a moment to stun his enemy to give him time to reload his weapon and fire again before the enemy recovers. Bithell wanted the gameplay to be able to capture that type of flow. Bithell credits the film's stunt coordinator Jojo Eusebio in offering some more potential moves for John Wick that are not shown in the film, but make for good strategic elements in a video game, such as John Wick using enemies as moving cover, by grabbing and then pushing a foe a short distance. Originally, Bithell built the game out as the turn-based tactical game he had originally described, so that the player would direct John Wick during his turn, then wait for the other opponents to complete their moves. When showing this version of the game to Lionsgate executives, they were concerned that this made it appear that John Wick just stood there, taking the shots fired by his opponents. Bithell took this advice to heart, and reworked the core game to use the timeline approach instead of the turn-based approach, so that John Wick's movements and enemy actions were happening simultaneously. Bithell regularly traveled to Los Angeles to keep Lionsgate abreast of the game's status and for additional feedback. Actors Ian McShane and Lance Reddick reprise their roles from the films, while Troy Baker voices the character of Hex. The game was first revealed in May 2019, just prior to the release of John Wick 3, with further details revealed at E3 2019. The game was released on 8 October 2019 for macOS and Windows. A PlayStation 4 port of the game was released on 5 May 2020. and for Nintendo Switch and Xbox One on 4 December 2020. In 2025, the game's publishing rights were switched to Big Fan Games, a label of Good Shepherd Entertainment's parent company, Devolver Digital, focused on licensed games. Big Fan announced that John Wick Hex will be delisted as of July 17, 2025, on digital storefronts. But those that have purchased the game before that would still be able to download and play it. While Big Fan did not give any reason for delisting, Polygon and other websites speculated it involved the expiration of intellectual property rights. And that is how you clear the floor without breaking a sweat. Watching the replay in real time really shows just how precise you have to be.
Gonna be able to fix this or what?
In a few minutes, eh? I should be able to reboot the system, get all the components back online.
What about Bronco's office? That's all I care about.
You should be able to lock us down, eh? If this works.
All right, well, whatever you're doing, do it quick. I'm gonna make a sweep of the building and then get back to Rodrigo's. The security system was back online. Things might be a little tougher for our fan club from here on in. Seemed like breaching the perimeter had been no more difficult than strolling through the front gates. But hey, who needs a Trojan horse when the alarm is down and your standing army is a dame, a dork, and a drunk? Bronco's office overlooked the atrium. I could check in and make sure he hadn't checked out. Max! Your guy's working on the security system now, sir.
It just came on.
Okay, good. Then lock yourself down. Stay put. Let us take care of these guys down here. Once they realize they can't get to you, they should back off.
Max, try not to completely destroy the place.
Let's just concentrate on staying alive. Sir! There it went. He was tucked up safe. Now I needed to make it to the lobby to complete my sweep of the building, for what that was worth. Sunday at the office. No one else would need these. Graduation shots of Rodrigo, Victor, and Marcelo, educated at rich kid finishing schools all over Europe. No wonder they had the common touch. Poor girl was dead. Shot through the head by some hero fighting the rich one lonely secretary at a time. looked like we'd seen the worst of it. The elevator would take me back up to Rodrigo's office where we could wait the rest of it out. I didn't know what the hell I was going to find up there, but I sensed it wasn't going to be a stripper bursting out of a cake.
Senor Branco, I can't get through to him. Ever since the security door is triggered, he hasn't made a sound.
Rodrigo, it's Max. Open up. Can you hear me?
Eu já tentei.
Senor Branco, open up. I'm gonna try to get in there from the roof. You find the security guard and get the hell out of here.
Yes.
I knew there was another way in upstairs for the helipad, the little luxury runaround
This
that
walkthrough
kept the
helped you
rich
survive
looking
the high
down on
table.
the poor
Drop a
literally
like
as well as
and let me know in the comments
metaphorically.
which level is giving you the most trouble. I'll be back with the next chapter soon. I'm the last one. Remember, focus, commitment, and sheer will. See you in the next one.